Oddly enough, none of the pictures or footage in this video are from the day I'm speaking of. We went to many events at the track this year, and all the pictures and videos are from different events than what I'm speaking about. I seem to have lost the footage from the actual event I'm talking about. Me and my boy like to go to the Ozarks International Raceway out here. It's a really cool track that you can go and watch high performance cars race, and it's a road track. Lots of curves, lots of corners, and you can pretty much drive all the way around the perimeter and watch it from different areas, almost every corner. It's really cool. And really enjoy going out there. He's really into car photography, and he's got some really cool shots of some cars, and he's even got to ride in some pretty cool cars. GT 500. We've got to take a lot of cool pictures and do a lot of cool stuff out there. But one of the times we were out there, they had the Porsche Club of America out there, and they rent the course. And they have a bunch of Porsches out there, and they took it serious. I mean, they had full-on race teams, and it was just a really big deal. They had cars that were hundreds of thousands of dollars out there, and just entire teams and setups, and it was just a really, really big deal. And they were racing all day and all weekend. And so one of the things that they do is they have what's called a parade lap. And it's just where all the people, other Porsches and stuff, people that aren't racing, they can get out there and just do a parade lap and go around the track. And it's like a publicity thing or whatever, it's pretty neat, what they get to do. And so me and my boy are hanging out, and, there's a line of a bunch of Porsches and stuff. And so I'm like, man, I wonder if I can take my truck. So I go over and I talk to the people, and I'm like, hey, do you guys care if I take my truck? And they're like, I guess not. We allow everyone. And I'm like, all right. And so they let me on the track, and I get up, and I had to pay like $20 to go out and do the parade lap. So I go to pull up on the track, and I mean, it's just, $100,000 Porsche, maybe like a $40,000 Porsche here and there, another, $250,000 Porsche. And, there's just a whole bunch of them out there, and it's really nothing but Porsches in line. And so I pull up, and the people who are running the event, they come up to me, and they're like, hey, what you doing? And I'm like, oh, I want to do a parade lap. And they look at me, and I got the old Ford 7.3. It's just my old pickup truck, and the cab is just loaded down. I have my 15-year-old son in the passenger seat, and then I have my dog in the back and all my tools. I mean, my whole back seat was full of tools, and my dog is like hanging out on top of them, just chilling in the back. And they're like, well, do you have anything in the back of the truck? And I'm like, no. And they're like, well, you can't have anything back there because it could spill out. And I'm like, oh, yeah, check. Go ahead and check. And they look in the back, and there wasn't nothing back there. And they're like, okay, well, they go pretty fast out there. This is just a parade lap, but they still get going pretty quick. And I was like, yeah, it's all right. I'll be able to hang with them. No worries. And they're like, well, all right. We're gonna go ahead and put you in the back. And I'm like, all right. And that's where they messed up, because then there was nobody behind me. And so that gave me freedom to gap a little bit, and a little bit of a gap happened. So we started going around the track, and they let us do 3 laps. And so for the first lap, I was kind of casual, I was taking it a little easy. But by the second lap, I was like, oh man, this is awesome. I got this. This is on. And so what I'd do is I'd let a big gap come in between me and the Porsches in front of me. And I mean, on the corners, man, I would just romp it and come into the corners just so hard, and I'd have a whole bunch of space between me and them, and then on the corners, I'd just gas it and come in, almost drift in the corners, and just catch up to them super quick. And so here's my old F-250, 2001 F-250, just catching the Porsches on the corners and letting them get ahead of me on the straight stretches so I could catch them in the corners. I did this a whole second lap, and so the third lap comes around, and I'm just really getting it there. I mean, I'm I'm really enjoying myself. I'm having a good time. I'm ripping it up in the old 7.3 diesel out there, and it's just I'm having a heck of a time, man. And to be completely honest, my old 7.3 is completely gutless, so it sounded a lot worse than it really was. Because I'd hold my foot to the floor, and you don't really go anywhere in the old 7.3. She has some torque, but she's not the most powerful and not the fastest of the group. And it may or may not be straight pipe. I've had little exhaust problems, and it might be missing some components. So it sounded a lot more than it was, but I wasn't too wild, within reason. I had my dog and my kid with me, so I was having a good time, but I wasn't like out of control or anything. And I come in, and we'd watched the parade lap before, and nobody cared or anything. It wasn't a big deal at all. Nobody cares. It's just a parade lap. Everybody's busy working on their cars, all the race teams and all that stuff. They don't care about some people going around in the car or going around the track. But I'll tell you what, when I came in off the track, I looked around, and every single person in the entire place was on the side of the fence. And I got to thinking about it, and I'm like, oh, well, they probably don't see this normally, because I got to thinking, and I was like, okay, so hearing the Porsches go around the track, they all know their stuff well, and they're like, oh, they hear an engine, and they're like, oh, that's a Porsche GT3. Oh yeah, that's great. Oh yeah, that's a Porsche 911. And then all of a sudden, I guarantee they're like, what in the hell is that? And it's just my big old 7.3 F-250 drifting around the track with my dog and my kid, and just all of it. It was a great time. It was so great. I really enjoyed it. It was a really good time. But yeah, it was just another one of those random experiences I got to go on, and I figured I'd share it with you guys. It was just another one of those funny things I did. I almost forgot, but right after that, I went to the gas station, and I was filling up at the gas station, and out of nowhere, this guy comes up, and he's like, "You were out at the track earlier." And I was like, yeah, and he's like, "Oh man, I work there. I was one of the flag guys." And he's like, "That's freaking awesome." He thought it was pretty funny. He thought it was pretty great. So I try to share funny stories once a week and just brighten the world a little. Feel free to like and subscribe and follow along. I appreciate you guys.